2014, Monday, May 19th, 2014. Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health, welcoming you to another live edition of Fire Your MD Now, especially if you are brandy spanking new. If this is the first time you've listened to this show, welcome aboard. I go out of my way to not sugarcoat things and to pull back the curtain on the way that medicine is delivered here in the not-so-free world, because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that most people they're completely unaware of, and it makes all of the difference in the world. The medical profession that has dominated the world medical stage for the last 80 years are the MDs and the pharmaceutical companies. And the MDs, bless their hearts, don't know what's best for you. The MDs only know what they've been trained in. And when it comes to chronic disease, the tools that the MDs are trained in are completely ineffective. This is why chronic diseases are escalating rapidly. Alzheimer's, autism, high blood pressure, cancer, arthritis, obesity. It's going up and up and up. These diseases are getting worse and worse and worse for one reason and one reason only. Your MD doesn't know how to fix them. Your MD's training makes them not concerned even with what causes them. And it becomes a ship of fools, one leading the other. Now, when it comes to trauma, the MDs are pretty good. And when it comes to surgery that's absolutely necessary, the MDs are pretty good. There's always room for improvement, but that's the wheelhouse of the MD, trauma care and emergency medicine. But for everything else, their therapeutics are the leading cause of bankruptcy and the leading cause of death. Like the fella said, what's the most expensive medicine? Well, the one that doesn't work. So, if you were an evil genius and you wanted to hurt humanity, if you were an evil genius and you wanted to hurt humanity, but you wanted to do it slowly, you didn't want to do it with a nuclear blast and then everybody's gone in an instant. You wanted to do it slowly and insidiously, and you wanted to make money on it, what would you do? Well, if I were an evil genius and that was my agenda, I would bring a drug to the medical marketplace, and I would convince people that they absolutely positively couldn't live without it, that they absolutely positively needed it, and that it was an absolutely vital thing for human health. I would bring antacids to the foreground. Antacid sales top $10 billion annually. Antacid sales top $10 billion in sales annually. That's billion with a B, and that's just in the United States. About 100 million Americans experience heartburn every month, and 15 million battle it at least once a day. Now, let's think this through. The MDs don't know what causes anything, and they're not concerned with what causes anything. And their therapeutic training lies only in the domain of delivering drugs to people to help them manage the symptoms, kind of like painting over the mold in the basement or sweeping things under the rug. So, somebody goes to an MD and they're presenting with heartburn. The MD doesn't know what causes the heartburn. The MD thinks that it's just, a matter of time until something goes wrong in the stomach. That the human body is just a bag filled with biochemicals. There is no soul force. There is no vital force. There is no inherent pranic intelligence which resides inside the body, and everything is just a random, haphazard accumulation of biochemicals which is bound to fail. So eventually, somebody's body starts making too much stomach acid. Now, I've asked physiologists for the last 30 years, what is the physiological mechanism which allows a human body to produce too much stomach acid? Nobody can tell me the answer to that question, except by leaning on the old saw, well, it must be genetic. We just haven't discovered that gene yet, though. Nonsense. But the MD thinks that heartburn is caused by too much stomach acid, And so they prescribe antacids or proton pump inhibitors, the intention of which are to completely eliminate the body's ability to produce stomach acid. Well, stomach acid is a vital step in the digestion of food. Stomach acid is a vital step in the digestion of food. Digestion starts in the mouth with your teeth and your saliva. Your teeth break the food down into smaller particles than you put on your fork or your spoon. The food mixes with saliva, which starts the process of chemical digestion, and then you swallow it. The food drops into your stomach, which is basically a big bag of acid. And if you are healthy, the acid in your stomach is extremely strong. The acid in your stomach is so strong that if you were to cut your finger off and swallow it, your stomach acid would digest it down to the bone. Digest it down to the bone. Your stomach acid is extremely acidic when you are healthy. So in a healthy person, the food goes into the stomach and it's turned into a liquid. The solid stuff that your teeth just pounded up into smaller pieces are now liquefied. And then the liquefied food passes from the stomach into your small intestine, where it is absorbed into the bloodstream. And that's how the body becomes nutrified. But the body needs more than just calories and sugar and protein in order to make it through the day. The body needs 90 essential nutrients. The body needs calcium. The body needs magnesium and zinc and sulfur and silica and vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Well, maybe not F. No vitamin F yet that I'm aware of. So we eat food in order to extract the raw materials that the body needs in order to make it through the day and to function the way that God intended it to. And the digestive process is like a series of dominoes, one toppling the next over. Now, as any domino enthusiast will tell you, if you remove one of the dominoes in the domino string, all the dominoes downstream from the domino that you removed don't become affected. And so it goes with the human digestive process. So you present with heartburn. The MDs assume that this is caused by too much stomach acid, but they are completely incapable of telling you the physiological process which caused your stomach to make too much acid in the first place. They just throw up their hands and say, I don't know, c'est la vie, that's life. And they recommend you take a prescription medication or an over-the-counter medication, which used to be a prescription medication, in order to suppress your body's ability to produce or secrete stomach acid. And so now that big bag of acid in your stomach dries up. So what happens now? Well, there's no more heartburn, right? Because there's no acid anything in the stomach. So here's what happens. You put a piece of food in your mouth, you chew it up. Your teeth chop it down into smaller pieces, and it mixes with the saliva in your mouth, which starts the chemical digestion process. You swallow that lump of food, and the food goes into the stomach. Plop, plop, no fizz, fizz. The food just sits there in the stomach because it is unable to be chemically digested because there's no more acid in the stomach. So now the food, which is supposed to be turned into a liquid, remains a solid. And there's no digestion that happens to it. And then that solid particle of food passes from the stomach into the small intestine. And as the small intestine tries to deal with this, it's like trying to deal with a foreign invader. It's something that it doesn't expect. It's something that ought to be there. Shouldn't ought to be there. But there it is, tumbling through the intestinal tract, a solid mass of partially digested food that is supposed to be in a liquid form, but it's in a solid form. And as it passes through the small intestine, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that it's going to cause mechanical harm. But the bigger harm here is, remember, it's supposed to be a liquid. Why is it supposed to be a liquid? Because the tissue in the small intestine's job is to absorb the liquid. It can't absorb a solid. Your intestinal tract cannot absorb solids. You know, it's like you can't absorb a solid. It can only absorb a liquid, but the food's not liquid. It's in a solid form, so guess what happens? That great big lobster lunch that you just ate, that great big T-bone steak, that great big vegan hamburger, is undigested. And so it passes through the intestinal tract, and the body pulls very little, if any, nutrition from the food. It can pull a little bit out of it because there is a little bit of chemical digestion that happens through pancreatic acid and bile in the small intestine. So a little bit happens, but not a lot. So the more of antacids that you take and the more proton pump inhibitors that you take, the greater are your nutrient deficiencies. Antacids and proton pump inhibitors drive nutrient deficiencies. All chronic diseases are caused by nutrient deficiencies. So the consistent use of antacids and proton pump inhibitors, which, by the way, in the U.S. top $10 billion a year, are the main drivers of chronic disease. So the more antacids you take, the more proton pump inhibitors you take, the less nutrified your body becomes. Your body wasn't properly nutrified to begin with, and so this is like throwing gasoline on a fire, and this will accelerate the genesis of all chronic disease. So again, if I was an evil genius and I wanted to hurt people and I wanted to profit by hurting people, I would encourage everybody to take proton pump inhibitors and antacids, because the more of these things that they take, the greater the incidence of chronic disease. And then, oh, by the way, the more money people are going to have to give the medical facility in order to manage their problem. More high blood pressure, more type 2 diabetes, more arthritis, more multiple sclerosis, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, it's a good thing I'm not an evil genius. But I want you to take a look around and tell me who you think is. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. I always say this because I mean it. If you become a longevity member, if you become a longevity distributor and you work it even part-time, soon you will be able to grow your longevity business into an income-generating giant, which will allow you to quit your job and then imagine what you could do if you would do longevity full-time. If you did longevity full-time, stayed in your lane, learned how to do it correctly, well, there is no limit to the amount of influence that you can spread in the world and your bottom line. There's no limit to it. It's limitless. And that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Now, let's complete this thought process, right? So the people that you trust to deliver you into a state of health, the MDs, the people that have monopolized the medical marketplace, the people who you give hard-earned money every month just to gain access to, when you're sick, don't know what causes heartburn, and because they're clueless about this, the therapeutics that they recommend actually facilitate your sickness. Now, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it's a bad thing. Because you go to these people expecting them to help you. You don't expect them to hurt you, but they do it. And they do it either vertently or inadvertently. I really don't think that MDs do this vertently. They don't do it on purpose. They just toe the company line and they haven't thought it through. They were taught that nobody knows what the cause of heartburn is, and when they were in medical school, and that's what 100 of their, half-witted colleagues thought. And I'm choosing my words carefully because you have to have half a wit to not think things through. You have to have half a wit not to think things through. They haven't thought it through. Really? We don't know what causes heartburn, boys? Really? Yet we don't know what? You think a medical student somewhere would say, wait a minute. I'm paying you what? How many hundreds of $1,000s for this education? Isn't this Harvard? Isn't this Tufts? Isn't this Princeton? Isn't this UCLA? I expected more. Holy smokes, I expected you to be able to tell me what causes heartburn. You don't even know what causes heartburn. I want my money back. I'm transferring to a different school. Yeah, but they never say that. because the education of a doctoral degree candidate does not open minds. It closes minds. That's the intention of the program. It's not to make people think. It's to make people memorize and toe the party line. Now, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not recommending you suffer in silence if you have heartburn. I recommend that you go to a licensed physician who has a clue about what causes heartburn and get on board with a medical therapy that's going to fix it. That's a better idea, don't you think, than just managing it and then suffering from all of the side effects thereof, more chronic disease? It's a fool's errand, ladies and gentlemen, and the fact of the matter is that, for better or for worse, your MD is facilitating this. And it's a problem. I mean, what would you think if you went to your MD and they told you to do asbestos? They wanted you to drink a glass full of asbestos every day. What would you think of them? Well, you'd want them investigated, wouldn't you? Well, you got to drink this hemlock. That's what you need to do. Here, drink this radioactive orange juice. That's what you need to do. You wouldn't allow that. But you don't bat an eyelash when they prescribe a proton pump inhibitor or an antacid because you don't know any better and you have put your trust in the wrong medical profession. Heartburn is caused by not too much stomach acid, but by not enough. When you don't have enough stomach acid, your body produces an excess of a chemical called gastrin. Gastrin is a precursor to hydrochloric acid and pepsin, which are the major digestive engines, the major digestive chemicals in the stomach. When there's food in your stomach, the food presses against the walls of the stomach, stimulating a receptor that dumps gastrin into the stomach. Gastrin then provokes the secretion of hydrochloric acid and pepsin. It's like the domino thing all over again. So when you remove one of the dominoes, well, guess what? You're in a world of hurt. Your body needs calcium and it needs salt in order to make and secrete hydrochloric acid and pepsin. So you eat some food, your body's calcium deficient, your body's salt deficient. The food presses against the receptor and gastrin is dumped into the stomach. As gastrin is in the stomach, it says, hey, give me some hydrochloric acid, but your stomach doesn't have any because it's calcium and salt deficient. So gastrin builds up. As more and more gastrin is in the stomach, a little valve at the top of the stomach opens up, and the gastrin squirts back into the esophagus, causing a heartburn, and then you're screwed. You want to support and promote the structure and function of your stomach in a heartburn situation? Welcome back, everybody. So, if you're suffering with heartburn, a prudent thing to do would be to start salting your food so that it tastes good. Start salting your food so that it tastes good. And swallow the contents of one healthy digestion pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. That's the original formula, healthy digestion pack with the liquid calcium, one healthy digestion pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. And 99.9999999 times out of 100, the heartburn goes away. And this is a much better deal than just drying up your stomach acid with proton pump inhibitors and antacids, the net negative effects of which are monstrous. Monstrous. Quite frankly, we think not too well about the physicians back in the day who used to give their patients large doses of mercury. We don't think so kindly about the patients who used to bleed, the doctors who used to bleed their patients to death. And we shouldn't think too kindly either about doctors who prescribe antacids or proton pump inhibitors because they're hurting the people that they took an oath to protect simply because they're too intellectually cowardly to think it through. And, they've aligned themselves with an ideology, a methodology, which is completely out of sync with what it really means to be a human being, which is that your body is a holistic organism. Your body is a complex system of interrelated parts which is governed by your innate, God-given spiritual intelligence. Your body is so smart it grew itself all by itself from a single-celled organism into you. Now, you think if it could do that, it knows how to fix itself? Well, we say yes. The MDs say no. Who you going to believe? Let's go to California and talk to Kathy and see who she's going to believe. Hey, Kathy, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Yes, I was calling in for a friend, and they are functioning with the EGFR at 14%, and they also have high blood pressure, insomnia, and anxiety. The only thing they have on right now is water pills for the high blood pressure.
Yeah, great. So this person has, kidney problems, right? And so what are they recommending? Maybe dialysis in 6 months or whatever?
Yes.
Okay. So this is interesting, don't you think? And this is telling about the methodology that the MDs bring to bear on this. So you go in and you have a problem with your kidneys. Remember, the MDs are not trained to know what causes anything. They're just trained to know how to manage the symptoms. So your kidneys are failing, and rather than investigate why, you would think that they would ask themselves that question at some point in time. Rather than ask themselves why, the MDs just throw up their hand and say, it's a gigantic mystery. There's nothing we can do now. Come back when the kidneys are broken, and we'll put you on dialysis. Now, if that point of view doesn't make you unbelievably horrified at the mere presence of anybody on the planet in a general family practice with a white coat, I don't know what's going to. It's just nuts what these people get away with and what we have gotten used to culturally for the delivery of medicine. We've gotten used to incompetence. And quite frankly, it's killing us. Now, most of the time when the kidney is negatively affected, the kidney itself is fine. It's the blood flow in and around the kidney that's messed up. So, in order to support and promote healthy kidney function, the recommendation is 1 anti-aging healthy start pack, original formula. 1 anti-aging healthy start pack, original formula. 2 bottles of Ultimate Selenium and 2 bottles of Z-Radical. Z-Radical, 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Capsules per 100 pounds of body weight per month, plus eliminate the 10 bad foods. From our point of view, anxiety is linked to not enough calcium and magnesium. High blood pressure, of course, is most probably linked to the kidney illness here. And because this is comprehensive, holistic medical nutrition, we're not just focusing on the kidney, right? This is a whole body recovery program, a whole person recovery program with a little extra emphasis on kidney health and, in this case, circulatory health. So that's what I would do, and I would counsel the person to pay attention to how they feel across the board, mood, energy, sleep, appetite, everything, as they're judging the effectiveness of the program over the next 90 days. 90 for life for 90 days before you judge it up or down. Does that sound like a plan?
Yes.
All right, Kathy, anything else?
I wanted to ask about the Ultimate Dailies. Are those pretty good in substitute of the Healthy Pack?
No. It's a great product, but we don't use it as a substitute. We use it as an add-on. Now, there are rare instances in which people have an extremely messed up digestive tract, and their bodies have allergic reactions to everything. And so they'll take the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, which is part of the Healthy Pack, and that's got 117 fruits and vegetables in it. And they have a mild allergic reaction to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 20 or 30 of the fruits and vegetables in there because their digestive tract is in such a problematic state. For people who have a negative reaction to the stuff in the Healthy Pack, then you can do a workaround by using the Ultimate... Yeah, the Ultimate Daily Capsules, the EFAs, the plant-derived minerals, the Ultimate Daily Capsules, the EFAs, and the plant-derived minerals would not be a bad place to go. But listen, if that's the problem, then from our point of view, the root cause of that is a funky digestive tract. And the root cause of a funky digestive tract is wheat, barley, rye, and oats, and the other 6 of the 10 bad foods. So you have to clean your diet up. You have to stop eating those foods. And I would take a little extra digestive support. I would do the Nightly Essence or the Flora FX or the Root Beer Belly as an add-on for 1 or 2 or 3 months. I would also do the Maqui Plus, MAQUI Plus, for 1, 2, or 3 months, bottle or 2 a month. You need to support and promote the structure and function of your digestive tract if you're having a hard time with the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, because it's not the supplement. It's your body's reaction to the supplement. But in the meantime, the Ultimate Daily Caps, the plant-derived minerals, and the EFAs are not a bad substitute. I appreciate the call, Kathy. Thanks so much. Staying in L.A., going to talk to Celeste. I hit the wrong button. Why do I do that, Celeste? I'm so sorry. Give me a call back, Celeste, and I will put you in the top of the queue. Maybe that's you calling back right now. Hold on, folks. I'm going to see if this is Celeste ringing us back. Nope. Celeste, give me a call back. I'll bring you right up. Let's go up to Alberta and see what Hal is up to. Hey, Hal, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Yes, I have some questions about the Tangy Tangerine. I received it last week, and I took it. I took 2 scoops in the morning with a glass of water, and in a few hours I started getting a real pain in my foot, and I didn't make any connection to what was going on. I took 1 scoop for bedtime. The next morning I couldn't walk, and then I realized what was going on. I was having a real gout attack, which I've had once before, about a year ago. So I'm looking at the ingredients. I couldn't see anything that maybe would increase my uric acid level, except possibly the inositol.
Well, that's a real stretch, man. Although, you know, your experience speaks for itself, right? So you're pretty much sure that this wasn't a coincidence and that you weren't eating foods that were high in purines on the same couple of days, right?
No, I would say no.
Okay. Well, all right. Yeah. Right. So then this wouldn't be a uric acid diathesis thing. This wouldn't be a uric acid diathesis. It would be a low-grade delayed hypersensitivity food allergy. Because when you consume a food that you're allergic to, especially in a concentrated dose, as such are found in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, it will provoke an inflammatory reaction, and people's bodies tend to inflame in the weakest part of their chain, and for people that have gout, it's the tissue that's affected by the gout. So there's a lot of things that can create a gouty flare-up, not just uric acid. So my guess here would be, Hal, that this was a delayed hypersensitivity food allergy provoked by one of the 117 or more of the one or more of the fruits and vegetables that are in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Were you taking the red one, the red powder in the blue bottle, or the orange powder in the orange bottle?
It's the blue bottle.
Okay, so I would send it back to the company because there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, right? Send it back to the company or sell it to one of your neighbors or whatever, and switch it out to the Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, because that stuff, excuse me, I've got the sneezes this afternoon. That stuff, 2.0, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, has less allergic foods in them. Now, from my point of view, all of this begs the question, were you at any moment in time in your life ever on high doses of antibiotics for a long time?
Not for a long time, no.
Like more than a month? Were you ever on antibiotics for more than a month?
I don't believe so, not that I recall.
Okay. And what's your relationship historically to whole grains been like?
I've never really noticed a problem. I've been gluten-free for about 6 months now.
Okay, but before that, you were eating bread and pasta on a regular basis?
Yes.
Okay, so we've talked a lot, Hal. I would just, for educational purposes, review the webinar that I did on the 10 bad foods. I just reproduced that a couple weeks ago, and it's part of the stuff that we offer for free on my website. I would review that webinar with special attention to wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Now, I understand that you're gluten-free, and that's a great thing, but when people eat gluten, there are negative things that happen to the intestinal tract, and one of the fallouts from that is the development of food allergies. So if I'm right, and this reaction to the Beyond Tangy was a food allergy, there has to be a cause for that, and the most common cause is wheat, barley, rye, and oats, for 30, 40 years before you went gluten-free. So part of your recovery program, given that reaction, would be you have to give the digestive tract more support. So what I would add to your program is the root beer belly. I would get 1 box of root beer belly a month, and I would take 1 root beer belly a day, and that's just a little tiny packet with some powder in it. You open it up and pour the powder directly on your tongue. It tastes exactly like a root beer popsicle that we used to get when we were kids. That gives your digestive tract the beneficial bacteria that it needs to be healthy, and I would also get a bottle or 2 of the Maquis Plus, MAQUI Plus, and do an ounce or 2 for 4 weeks, an ounce or 2 a day for 4 weeks to help support and promote the integrity of the intestinal tract. And as you go down the stream, Hal, further and further and further away from gluten, with more and more and more of the good stuff in your body, then you should be able eventually, maybe 9 months from now, to tolerate the original tangy without problem. My advice now, switch it to 2.0. Give it a run for a couple days and call me back with a report. I'll look forward to that. Thanks so much for the call. Stick around, folks. We're going to Kim in Vermont next. Welcome back, everybody. Well, guess what? Celeste found her way back, so we're going to go to Celeste first. So, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Hey, Celeste, thanks for the phone back. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. I was wondering if selenium would help me for being tired and sad.
Well, it's entirely possible. Has anybody ever assessed your thyroid function? Has anybody ever told you have an underactive thyroid?
No.
Okay.
He just wanted to put me on antidepressant, and I told him no.
Yeah. Well, have you taken any of the longevity supplements so far?
Yeah, I'm the one that OD'd the 3, so the Tangy Tangerine, the 3 Osteo-FS, and
yeah.
I'm the one.
Yeah. So you've dialed that back now, and you're no longer having a negative reaction to it?
No, I'm better. I see better. I'm feeling better. I sleep wonderful at night. And I'm doing 2 scoops of Tangy Tangerines a day. I do 3 EFA, 1 at breakfast, lunch, and supper. And I do the Osteo, an ounce of Osteo, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay. And you're just maybe thinking maybe there's something you can do to help your mood.
Yeah, it's like bedroom messing up things. Everything is just, I'm just sad and just tired when I get up in the morning. I feel like I've rested. I feel the difference since I've start doing the Osteo-FX. I feel like I've been asleep the next morning. It's just that after I get up and I do breakfast, which is like a poached egg or boiled egg, and I do a piece of, toast, and that's it. But I start to feel tired and droopy and sad.
Okay, good. All right, good. So you're doing gluten-free toast, right?
I do the Ezekiel.
Now you gotta eliminate all 10 bad foods, and Ezekiel bread is a bad food. Okay.
Okay.
So you can have gluten-free bread as much as you want. No problem. Gluten-free toast. I have gluten-free toast practically every morning. You can have gluten-free pancakes, gluten-free waffles, gluten-free whatever you want. It's got to be gluten-free though, and Ezekiel bread is not gluten-free. Okay. Now, I think there's a strong possibility that you might have an allergy to eggs, because one of the cardinal symptoms of eating a food that you're allergic to is your energy gets drained about 15, 20 minutes after you eat it. And you just feel like, you get all depressed and you get funky and you just don't want to do anything. And it's like, crap, man, I feel like crap.
Yes.
Right? So, as an experiment, here's what I'd like you to do for breakfast for the next 3 days in a row. I want you to eat the leftovers from dinner the night before. I want you to have leftovers from dinner the night before for breakfast. No more eggs. No more Ezekiel bread, for goodness sake. Throw that stuff out.
Okay.
Burn that stuff in effigy, for goodness sake. No more of that stuff, okay? No more eggs. Just do a little experiment here for 3 days in a row. No eggs, no Ezekiel bread. Have something different for breakfast. And the easiest thing that there is to do for breakfast is leftovers from the night before. So that's what I would do. Do that for 3 days. So this is Monday, right? So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm off on Friday, but give me a call back Thursday. You'll be 2 days into it, and you can tell me whether or not you notice a difference in your energy, number one. Now, I have another trick up my sleeve, Celeste. Do any of your friends... Are any of your friends diabetic?
My husband is type 2.
All right. Excellent. Does your husband have the little blood sugar finger prick thing?
Yes.
All right. The next time you feel funky, after, you eat breakfast, take your blood sugar with his thing, and then take your blood sugar later in the day when you feel less funky, and compare the two, and then call me back with those results. This is either a food allergy or a blood sugar issue. And I'm going to bet you 25 cents it's a food allergy. But there's only one way to find out. It's 1 day at a time. So try that on for size, Celeste. I'm glad you called back. Give me a call back in 2 days with a report, and we will take it to the next step. And that's how we roll here, ladies and gentlemen, one person at a time. Hour 2 coming up. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health. This is Fire Your MD Now. Stick around.